Konnichiwa, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Experience the fascinating world of Japanese culture. Japan Culture Con is a thrilling 3-day exploration of authentic Japanese culture, lifestyle and cuisine. It's all happening from November 10th to the 12th at Burj Park. Here to tell us why this event is so special, we're joined by Mr. Yoshiyuki Kuruma and Mr. Ken Yokiyama. We'll also be joined by Miss Kazuki, who will be interpreting for us. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
This is super exciting, guys. Thank you so much. What are you going to be doing at Culture Con? What will you be performing?
はい、ではお二人にカルチャーコンでどんなパフォーマンスするか教えてください。
はい。
ではどちらから？
じゃあいいですか。
はい。
はい、私日本でクレイジーケンバンドという11人編成のバンドをやっておりますが、そこから代表して一人で来ましたけど、カラオケでですね、でもバンドに負けないようなパフォーマンスをしたいと思っております。6曲ぐらいやろうと思っております。はい。
Okay, so he is the Mr. Ken Yokoyama, who is belonging to the Crazy Ken band, and he is playing the music normally with the 11 members. So this time he will be on the stage by entertaining karaoke.
Karaoke, amazing. Okay, cool. And you?
はい、私は、北海道からやってきました木村義之と言いまして、この津軽三味線という伝統的な楽器と和太鼓を演奏することになっています。そして、津軽三味線は伝統的な曲をあえてこのドバイでチャレンジします。そして和太鼓は、即興でその空気を感じ取ってインプロビゼーションで打ち込みます。
So Mr. Yoshiyuki Kimura,who is born in Hokkaido, northern part of Japan. So this time he will play both shamisen, Japanese guitar, and Japanese drum, wadaiko. And he will play this shamisen music in traditional way to make people know our own traditional Japanese. And on the other hand, he will play the Japanese drum in an improvisation way, which is the freestyle and the best suitable way that depends on the moods at the event at the time.
So cool, guys. This is a true taster of what Japanese culture is like, and it's rare that we see it here in the UAE. The reason they're here is they want to use the UAE as a platform to show Japan to the rest of the world. And right here on the show, we're going to get a sneak peek preview, a little performance from each of the performers. Can we start that off?
Okay. そしたら次にちょっとお二人からパフォーマンスを簡単にしてほしいということなので、はい。さあ、じゃあ、ケンさんから。
Let's start with a performer from Crazy Ken Band Vocal. It's Mr. Ken Yokiyama. He's going to kick things off. Let's go.
いいね。じゃあ、俺の話を聞け。5 minutes。5分だけでもいい。貸した金のこと貸した金のことなどどうでもいいから
Mr. Crazy Ken, what a performance, and you look so slick. I like your hat very much. Nice.
So his song is you don't have to care about the money you borrowed from me, but just want to talk with you, listen to my voice. This is his message.
It's a nice message.
Yes,
very well said.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
And let's move on to our next performer. We're going to be joined by Mr. Yoshiyuki Kimura, who's going to be doing a very special performance. Fast fingers. So cool. Guys, super duper cool. So you're going to be down at Japan Culture Con this weekend. Before you leave us, tell us what one thing are you looking forward to most? What is their highlight?
個人的にこのイベントでお気に入りのおすすめの場所を教えてください。
はい。盆ダンス、盆踊りをですね、踊るっていう時間があるのは聞いたんですけども、ドバイで盆踊りってめちゃくちゃ不思議なね、西洋でもないし、なんとも言えない空気感が出るんじゃないかと、バイブスが出るんじゃないかと 期待しております。ボンダンスのね、時間。はい。気になっております。
Okay, so he is quite excited about having a bon dance, which is a traditional Japanese dance. So, which will make the Japanese own moves in our festival.
Wow, so interesting. And you?
はい、私は食べ物を食べながらコンサートも見れるという日本の祭りをこのドバイで表現できることがすっごいなと、しかもブルージュパークで、それがすっごく楽しみで、このドバイで日本の祭りのさらにこの進化したものが見れるのが僕はすごく楽しみです。
ね、
はい、
もうブルージュ下でね。興奮しますね。
So he is looking forward to having the both food, our own Japanese food and the beverage booth, as well as the stage, our Japanese musical performances, so that the people can enjoy the food and the beverages by seeing their stage performances. Wow. So, which is the true form of the Japanese festival in Japan. But this time we will have a more gorgeous stage. So it means this is quite a kind of a futuristic event for Japanese culture in Dubai.
So, you know what's so interesting is obviously I can't speak Japanese, but I feel their energy and their passion for this event, which is so cool. And if you have any interest in a flavor of Japan, this is an authentic piece of their culture and heritage in Dubai this weekend down at Burj Park. We'd truly love to see you there. So if you can, guys, thank you so much for being here this morning. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, we're going to go on a quick break, and next up we're talking all things crypto. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Ian Monk is in town for Ripple Swell, a flagship event that brings together the world's most influential voices across crypto, blockchain, payments, economic policy, and more, something that we really want to know a lot more about. Ian is currently the lead for digital asset strategy for Clearbank, and here to help us understand crypto, he's going to talk to us. Thank you so much for being here, Ian Monk. We really appreciate
Thank you very
your
much.
time.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome. I'm gonna jump right into it.
Okay.
So what coin do people invest in to get rich and not famous, to get rich right now, at this very moment, this very day?
You can't ask a question like that straight away. Well, firstly, the caveat is don't invest anything that you're not willing to lose. I think in the crypto space, because it's incredibly volatile. At the moment, we've seen actually quite a bit of spike, especially in kind of Bitcoin. XRP have been going up. XRP has actually been quite good recently, mainly because there's been some good news out of the States regarding some lawsuits against Ripple, who's kind of, I guess, who created XRP.
They've won, right?
Pardon? They won sort of three elements of the lawsuit they kind of came out with. So it was pretty exciting stuff for them and exciting for the market, because the American regulators are being quite strict on how stuff operates. So that was really good news. But yeah, in terms of like what you're going to invest in, you could invest in anything, and it could go through the roof, or it could not go anywhere.
Well, we have spoken before about what we'd like to invest in, and there was obviously a time when everyone was investing and making money. That market obviously crashed, and you said that there's been a rise recently. However, is there ever going to be a stable crypto market? Have we missed the boat? Or is now a good time to invest?
In terms of like huge increases?
Is it going to be a level playing field at any point?
I think what you kind of the crypto markets, I think, was always going to be a little bit volatile. I think that's just its nature. I think but that's all relative. But I think the way we're going to see crypto being used, because that's what's really key, and that's what will create stability in the market, is kind of use cases around crypto. And most people kind of call it cryptocurrency, and it's a mechanism of exchanging value between people and not using a bank, because it all came out of the financial crash and people didn't like banks at the time. So they go, right, how can we move money between each other without that? So that's how it sort of came about. And I think, especially with sort of Ripple Swell and the job I do in Clearbank, we're kind of looking at how can the underlying technology be used for payments to make it so you can move value much faster around the world. You can sort of save loads of liquidity. It can be cheaper for all of us to move money. And I think, when you start getting these use cases coming out, I think that will create stability in the market.
But I feel like in Dubai, we've already seen those use cases. There'll be apartments for sale and people say, you can use crypto to buy this. How far along on that journey are you of being basically able to buy a coffee with cryptocurrency?
Well, in places you can. I think the challenge is it depends what cryptocurrency you're going to use to buy your apartment. Because if you're going to go, if you were to buy your apartment 3 years ago with something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then you were to look at it today, you'd have got your apartment at a bargain. Whoever took your Bitcoin off you is going to be, they're going to be in trouble because it was a huge sort of price. But that's where things like stable coins come in, which is a different sort of cryptocurrency, which is usually backed by an underlying asset. So it would be sort of one-to-one backed with the dirham or something like that, and therefore it keeps stable. And then you can use that to buy your apartment as well.
Stable coins.
Stable coins.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the scams and stuff, but first I want to ask you said XRP and Ripple, they won the case, right?
Yeah.
And you have so many coins, crypto coins that people have invested in. How do you know when's a good time to pull out? Because basically they've won the case now. It's going to shoot up, but then at one point it's going to come back down. So when do you know is like the peak moment to pull out?
Whenever you...
Whenever you feel like
these questions. Well, whenever you feel like it, whatever your appetite, your risk appetite is for your investment, that's when it's right to pull out. So there is no magic sauce. You might go in and go, well, actually, all I need is to buy buy a new coffee machine, and so therefore you put some money in. And you make £100 and you go, great, that's all I need. I'll take it out.
For specifically this case, right? Like Ripple one. You, in cases like this, do you leave it on for like longer, or do you just pull out as soon as the tide is right?
Yeah, so with the Ripple, as soon as they won the sort of first lawsuit, it absolutely rocketed up over the period of about 48 hours, and then it slowly kind of settled. It does come down, but then it's so difficult to understand because what we don't know and don't see is huge sort of, I call them crypto funds, but you get, big companies that sort of invest on behalf of, very rich people. And they will put a lot of money in to crypto, make their margin because of their risk appetite, and then they'll take it out. And that has a significant impact on the price of crypto. And we don't see that as sort of the average Joe investor. You're only putting 100 quid in, maybe, 1,000 or whatever it might be. And therefore, it's very difficult, to sort of predict what's happening and what the big dogs are happening. But, the best way to get an understanding of what's going on is just to read the news, read what's happening in the space, looking at the big companies.
As someone who works in crypto in the industry, how would you describe the risk to someone of investing?
I'd say that the risk of investing is the same as the risk of investing in anything. The price can go up, the price can go down, but ultimately there is less regulation in the crypto space, so there's less consumer protections. So if you're going to go and invest in some stock options in something via some broker, there will be some protections in place to make sure that they follow the rules, and then they don't rip you off and take your money away. I guess a good example could be used as like the FTX example, in the way that people put their money into FTX, and then because of the sort of lack of regulation and I guess internal corporate governance within FTX and the Sam's other company, he was able to just move millions or billions of dollars between the two, and then that obviously wasn't found. Whereas as a bank or anything, or a properly regulated institution today dealing with like stock options, you can't do that. But regulation is coming in the crypto space. Different regions are moving at different speeds. I mean, I know kind of the DIFC here and the ADGM in Abu Dhabi they're sort of working together and creating regulation for the institutions over here. And so it's fantastic to kind of see that, because then it means that people like you, me, if we do want to invest, it's much safer for us to do so. There's still the risk of the asset movement, but you're less likely to have sort of fraud and people ripping you off.
Okay, so have you heard of the Logan Paul Zoo token?
Do you know what? No, but that doesn't surprise me. Because I'm going to make an assumption it's a bit of a meme token.
Have you invested?
No, I have no idea. It just became like such headline news that there was a token that the egg hatches and you get a lot. Like, what exactly was the concept behind that? And
do you know what? I've got no idea. I've got no idea.
So,
but there's loads of gimmicks out there with coins. And you know, their kind of main title is they're kind of categorized as meme coins. And they're ultimately just kind of like sort of projects to try and entice people in. You know, from what I sort of see, not many of them have really any underlying use cases. Like, you wouldn't invest in a company that's just like, hey, we're really fun, would you? You kind of go, well, what does your company do? How are you going to make money? How are you going to make profit? What is it that you're really selling to people?
So where are the right platforms to be investing in crypto? Like apps or platforms?
Yeah, so I mean, like, there's, to be honest, I don't know too much about what's happening over here, but I mean, you kind of find just the main exchanges are the easiest sort of place to go. You know, your Coinbases, your Krakens, your Geminis, your Crypto.coms, your Binances. They are the best place to go, but definitely have a look at them beforehand, do a little bit of research and just sort of check that they're kind of all legit and doing things properly. I mean, they should be, you know, most of them are regulated at least somewhere in the world.
It's so tempting because you mentioned there's a lot happening here for crypto, and like we see crypto bros, cars like Ferraris with like Binance logos and stuff rolling around town. So there's that side of it, but also the city really is at the forefront of crypto technology. And like, we know about the highs and lows of the crashes, but what's actually happening in crypto right now? Like, what's coming next? Like, what should we be aware of?
Yeah, I think the exciting thing in crypto, well, I think it's exciting anyway, whether anyone else does, that's not the point. It's kind of like, it's really the tokenization of everything, which is a really generic sort of term, but you're kind of tokenizing real world assets. And that could be, you could have funds, you can have real estate, you could tokenize your car, and you can tokenize these things, and then you can create a liquid market for them. And it also means you can, there's sort of technical terms in the bank, you can just make it sort of slightly safer to make a transaction. And I think that's kind of exciting how you could take a building, a corporate building, you could tokenize it, and then you or I could then go invest in that. Which is not very easy to do today, but you might just be interested in, you know, business buildings and whatever it might be. And I think that's kind of exciting. And then when you've got tokenized real world assets, and then you've got like the sort of stable coins on the side, suddenly you've got this whole ecosystem that's all on the blockchain. And you can start making sort of really fast payments between the two, and you know, because it takes ages to buy a house, right? And the money generally goes to a lawyer, whatever, the deeds go to a lawyer, and then it takes weeks and whatever, and it goes back to each person. Whereas suddenly you'll be able to do that, like you'll be able to buy a house in the space of like an hour.
Interesting. If that's what we want to do.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to ask, you have so much insight into the market. So are there any cryptocurrencies that you would advise people against investing in right now? Like anything that's trending and you're just like, no, this is such a red flag.
Look, I mean, I wouldn't. The thing is, you know, my sort of view is stick to kind of anything that's mainstream. I mean, like anything.
Not the meme coins.
Yeah, anything else. I mean, just do your research, have a look into them. If it's something you think that has potential, you know, I mean, that's anyone's choice or anyone else's choice. You know, but I mean, there's like 14,000 cryptos out there, so I mean, there's probably plenty that I would say you shouldn't invest in, but I'm not, you know, I can't pick one out.
It's really interesting because we ask ourselves every day, how can we get rich? And what we learn is that there is no quick way to do it. We actually have to invest our time and our energy into learning more about these coins. Before you leave us, you're in town for Ripple Swell.
Yeah.
What is the kind of the buzz and the scene around crypto in Dubai right now and in the UK?
I think it's just really exciting at the moment. What I love about it is yes, there's experts, but no one's really an expert. Everyone is kind of learning off everyone else. And it's constantly evolving. It's constantly developing kind of new use cases for how this technology can be used. And I think that's what's sort of most exciting. And the Ripple Swell event's mainly about payments and tokenization of assets. And I think because that's where we're going to go, that's a real buzz. And I think Dubai has just got so many sort of fintechs that are kind of up and coming. I think, seeing how that really develops, they've been quite early in terms of regulation as well, or forward-leaning in terms of regulation. And so it'll be interesting to see how that really works, and that's really exciting. And in the UK, I mean, it's very, very sort of similar. I mean, the whole Bank of England and our regulators are all coming out with their own laws at the moment. So it's a little bit of sort of slowly catchy monkey to get there. But I think just the whole world is it's a buzz with this stuff, and it is going to impact everyone. And that's what I think is quite cool in the future.
It feels like we're early doors.
Yeah, I mean, look, the internet was around for 15 years really before people properly started using it. So you've got to think that at the moment we're in the 90s of the internet. I don't know why I had to do that, but felt like it. We're in the 90s of the internet. I think Facebook's and Google's didn't come around until, well, Google's probably around late 90s and Facebook was 2005. And they're like the big kind of behemoths of the internet. So we're still waiting for that to kind of materialize, I think, in the market.
So maybe from our side, we invest now, but we hold it for 14 years and then we'll be millionaires. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Crypto 101 with Ian Monk, who is the lead for digital asset strategy for Clearbank. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been great.
It's been great, guys. That is all we have time for the show this morning. We're back with you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.